Welcome back to Raised by the 90s. Today we're talking about one of the first Nicktoons released all the way back in 1991, Doug. I am Peter Z, here with
Toby Freeze.
Toby. What were the first three things that came to mind when we decided to do this show?
Let's see, Doug's green vest, for sure. Patty mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And pork chop.
Yeah, two of those things were the same for me, pork chop and patty mayonnaise. The third being Roger. I have to take back what I said as my favorite. I think I'll reveal who my new favorite is after rewatching, but yeah, his design stuck out a lot to me. I forgot how big his nose is. It's enormous.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because the restaurant in town is Honker Burger.
Yeah, they all have big honkers. Yeah. And I did notice that, on some of the wider shots, if you will, everyone kind of looks like Sonic the Hedgehog with these giant boots on. It looks so weird with their skinny legs. I could talk for a while on how weird and inconsistent the design is. Here, let me share some pictures. I want you to see this. In this one episode, this lady looked like a Looney Tunes character. I was like, what is she doing here? She had the animation to match, the movements.
She looks very Animaniac style.
I agree.
Like Warner Brothers.
Exactly. Yeah, and I actually laughed a lot, probably the most out of any of the episodes, with it at that one.
Okay.
I will say I found myself laughing at the show more than I thought I would. How about you?
Yeah, it was interesting. Some of the ideas within the episodes were kind of out there.
Yeah.
Going back on your animation thing, I wanted to point out that there was one guy in one episode where it was the exact opposite. He had super big legs and a very short, stout upper body.
Huh.
And I believe it was the Doug door-to-door episode when he was selling the chocolate door-to-door.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about. I remember one of the customers I just remember that he had these huge pants. I was like, what is going on?
It was very jarring to me.
Yeah, no, me too. It was shocking. Yes. One thing you'll note was you mentioned in our pre-show that you had seen the whole first season.
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice how weird the animation on the second episode was?
Not entirely. I'm going to be honest with you, Peter. I was a little distracted while I was watching the first season, but yeah.
New puppy.
Yeah, new puppy life. But
Did you notice in that first episode that they say it's surprising how much stuff a dog can acquire? I was like, oh, Toby, take heed.
Fortunately, my dog's not a vegetarian like pork chop.
It's a phase, as they say.
Yeah.
It's not letting me paste this picture. I just wanted to show you how off-model everyone appears.
I did notice in a couple of the early episodes, there was almost film burn or animation burn in some of the slides, maybe.
Yeah.
It was quite odd. There was a corner of the slide missing.
The right half of the screen on some of the episodes, it looked like the edge of a Nintendo, an old NES where the border is messed up,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looked like. I was like, wow, these are maybe they didn't have good versions of the tapes. I was kind of thinking about that because a lot of times I'll see animation from that time period and there's a black line missing on the outline of a house. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
Did that not get scanned in? What did the cell originally look like? Because why would that be your art style? I just don't get it. I could say that about the whole of Doug. Why would that be your art style? I guess it does have some charm, but overall, it's a bizarre looking show. And I was only reminded of that more when we revisited it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was definitely unique. We can talk about the multi-colors of all the characters all day, But
well, that's one thing I wasn't sure if we wanted to even touch with like a 40, 50 meter pole. It's like, is Skeeter black?
I don't know.
Well, according to the creator, he is. And I didn't pick up on it as a kid, but you can kind of see it in from his mannerisms, and he makes the order for Doug at the Honker Burger, and it's very smooth. It's very
it's fresh.
Yeah, well put. So it is a bit evident, but that went over my head, and then I was thinking, so are these all different races? I don't know what's going on here, but it's very weird. I mean, Roger being green is fair enough because he's a jerk, but like, what's going on there? Yeah, very odd choice. And Mr. Dink is a rather crazy design with the teeth and the purple. Ugh.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How old do you think he's supposed to be?
Who, Mr. Dink?
Yeah. I didn't look it up or anything. I'm just curious what your take is.
I'm going to say he is about 49 years old. 40, not quite at that 50.
Okay, I was thinking maybe 40, like lower 40s.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of it, but I got a big kick out of his wife. I'm sure you did too. She just doesn't put up with any of his nonsense.
No, but she's always by his side. It's quite endearing.
I was going to say, apparently she does, but like she's constantly just making snarky remarks in an absolutely monotone voice. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, for sure.
She was good.
Can we talk a minute about Mr. Dink's inventions?
I remember those, but I didn't actually run into any episodes with them. He was always showing off the expensive stuff he bought, but
okay.
I do distinctly remember the one where like they're building something in his garage and he's like, screwdriver, hammer, jelly donut, and like you gotta eat something like that. Yeah.
Maybe I'm confusing some of his high-tech stuff with just stuff that he's spending his money on. Maybe I wasn't fully getting the context.
Well, he does say he's a writer in one episode, but
No, you're right.
Thought he was like a tinkerer.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Do we need to watch more Doug?
Maybe that was just a side gig. I think I need to watch some more Doug. The first season, I didn't grasp it all.
And that's what I also mentioned in the pre-show. I had jumped around, and after watching a few episodes, I felt like I knew less about the show than what I had remembered in my head. I could not get a grasp of any of the characters and how I remembered their personalities when I felt like I saw so few of them. Oh, and to finish my thought on that weird animation, I wonder if that was the real pilot, and then when it got green lit, they made the introductory one of him moving to town with the studio that made the rest of the episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because Roger just he already looked bad, but they made him look just awful. And
he's very
ratty.
He's very, almost monstrous.
Even more so than he is. He's a bit more curved and rounded and less lanky in the other part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't pick up what you had mentioned about Mr. Dink. I was not familiar with that acronym.
Double income, no kids.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that's how he has all that spare income. I'm wondering if there's I'm just thinking out loud because I remember he was leading the scouts and he always seems to be roping Doug into stuff. Is he regretting his choice to not have kids? Are we supposed to understand that as adults or what?
That's astounding, Peter. I'd never even thought of that. And to be quite honest, I think maybe he is, because he has all these resources and everything. So why wouldn't he just capture the magic of having a kid without having a kid?
Well, that's the thing. The only reason he has the resources is because he doesn't have kids.
Yeah,
you know, that's part of the thing. But well, not that those are mutually exclusive, but the dual income, no kids kind of implies that, you don't have that monetary burden, so you can buy crazy TVs and all the other things he had.
Yeah, and begs the question, what do you think Mr. Dink wrote if he was an author?
In the first episode, he's showing the film. Maybe he's like a script writer because he's showing his film. I have no idea. I don't have a good guess.
I was thinking he was like a Tom Clancy type. He wrote some war novels. Like he'd seen some stuff.
That would be a really interesting twist on his character. There's this dark side we don't know about where he's writing these thriller spy novels and he doesn't have kids because he has like painful memories of what happened to kids during the war and doesn't want any of his own.
Well, with Marvel coming out with their first R-rated series, maybe we'll get a Doug prequel on Disney Plus one day.
See, what do you do there though? Because it's already just called Doug. You can't just you can't do the standard, where they went back just to Doom for that game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do you, just D.
Yeah, just Dink. That'd be great.
Oh, Dink.
And have him like
the Dink.
Yeah, just have like half of it. Yeah, have half of his face on the thumbnail for the show. Half of his face is shadowed out, and the other half is on there.
That's ridiculous. I could probably go really far with this idea. I mean, okay, so based on the time period, he probably served in Nam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like special forces. That's how he's so good with all these gadgets. Clearly an intelligent man. Maybe got hit in the head a few too many times, which is why he's a bit wacky now. I'm going to stop myself before I start, but I mean, no, he's a goofy character. Who else really stuck out to you among the characters, or what did you notice in general rewatching?
So without the obvious, like Patty Mayonnaise, because Patty Mayonnaise is kind of just like, she's almost a main character. As far as the side characters, I would say...
well, let's talk about Patty for just a moment.
Okay.
For one thing, I think her voice actress is wonderful.
Oh, she is. Yeah, I noticed that too.
And Bibi. They both sound like they've been smoking 2 packs a day since they were 3, and it's great. I don't know if I could know anyone like that, but it's just perfect for the show. And I'm surprised how little Patty seems to show up. She's more of like a plot object half the time.
Yeah, she really is, to kind of either drive Doug to do something or say something or get something accomplished.
Or he's nervous about something. Yeah. And I was really surprised that there's not like, they don't hang out. It's always like he wants to, or like that's the reward, or he's supposed to meet her and almost forgets. And, I was surprised by that. She's more of a plot device, not the strong female, named after a condiment that I remember. Oh, and what about this for a shocker? In the one episode I watched, Doug throws a baseball and somehow knocks down a house. And Patty, for her part, makes no effort to explain anything, just calls Doug terrible. And at the end, it's not even clearly explained what happens. But near the end of the episode, he's wondering what made her so mad. And Skeeter's just like, oh, that's the house they lived in before her mom died. And I was like,
dude,
what the fuck?
That's how they break it. Yeah, that's how they break that Patty Mayonnaise's mom died.
I don't know if that's the first time. And Skeeter goes, I thought you knew, because everyone knows. And Doug's like, yo, I just moved here. And he's like, yeah, I'm your best friend. That's what best friends are for. And I found myself lacking sympathy for Doug, Patty, and Skeeter many times. I don't know about you, but those were my main thoughts on Patty. I return it to you about other side characters. It seemed like you had a thought.
Okay, no, I was just going to say, and you mentioned her name, Bibi. Bibi was not exactly a small part in the show, not a big part either, but she fit in pretty well.
Yeah. She was one of the main parts in the episode that I laughed the hardest at, because I wouldn't go so far to call her a bitch, but she's like blunt. Yeah. And she's openly blunt. Like, you know what you're getting into. She's not just going to be mean for no reason. She's mean to everyone. Like, yeah, that's for fair. Sure. I'm cool with that. You keep doing you, Bibi. Yeah. and I like the trope that she's like, you know, rich and spoiled. But like, I wish you had seen that episode, or you didn't by chance watch Doug Wears Tights?
I did not.
Oh, well. Bibi's mom is trying to force her to get the main role, and you know they're very wealthy, and she says she owns the Bluffington, the Bluffington Ballet. So like she's like, oh, I'll make sure you get the part, and Bibi doesn't want it. She speaks in what seems like some kind of blue-blooded but Southern accent, and they are also purple people. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, it was very weird. I don't know. And the accent was really bad too, and constantly shifting between multiple regions and races. And I don't know. I found it strange by today's standards.
Yeah.
But
now that you mentioned that episode, I remember it fully watching it as a kid. So.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying now. Yeah, that's how most of them went. It would start off in some random spot. I noticed the episodes have the tendency to like just go off in this random direction and build up all these stakes. And for instance, in that one, in like the last 30 seconds, Bibi just tells her mom, I didn't want that part. You wanted it for me. And Bibi goes, oh, sorry I called you a clown, Doug. You're just a boy wearing tights. And like, that's actually what she says. Like, and it's like all of this tension is just poof. And Doug never seems to have real consequences. I thought it was weird. Like, very little lesson learned.
Yeah, that is true. And it's funny because the show is full of lessons, but yeah, are we sure Doug even heeds them?
No, he never seems to learn, which I guess he has to be at a certain place to be able to learn. But like, I was gonna say, I still sometimes am a black hole of confidence. Not only is mine low, but I will actively lower that of those around me. So I could have learned a lot if they had managed to make the lessons stick or be more relatable, tangible. I don't know what it is. Another example, in one episode I watched, my favorite character, his sister, Judy, this thespian beatnik, born in the wrong generation, bohemian, manages to have dirt on Doug. And at the end, she says the same thing Doug says at the start that allows him to enslave her. And instead of him being like bigger about it, at the end, she's doing chores for him instead of like the torture he was enduring the whole episode. To be fair, he does come clean. That's how he gets out of the enslavement by his sister. He just comes clean to his mom, and his mom didn't care, and he gets like grounded. So he does see some comeuppance, but like he just got punished. He learned the lesson that he should have come clean right away, but he's still vindictive against his sister, which is like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. I guess that's a win, but like I wouldn't have written it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of this show, and I'm pretty sure it's mentioned, but I think honesty was the big play, spanning across the entire 4 seasons.
Go on. What do you mean?
Only because there was a few episodes I remember, like the one where they're selling chocolate, and
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So basically, Doug sees Roger putting on his salesman shtick to sell these horrible booster bars that Mr. Dink is selling for the Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
For them to go on a trip.
The Bluff Scouts.
Yeah, the Bluff Scouts. Excuse me.
Well, if it wasn't that, it would be Beat Scouts, because everything is beats. I don't know what's up with that, but anyways.
Yeah, we could probably dedicate an entire episode just to the fucking beat usage in this show.
Yeah, weird, man. I don't know. Go on, though.
But anyway, he sees Roger doing this, and Roger goes up to this lady's house that Doug was just at, and the lady had turned him away. So when Roger comes up, he offers a free sample of the chocolate. Mm-hmm. And the grandma eats this chocolate and instantly likes it. It's not the same Booster bar as it was last year.
Yeah,
so she buys almost the entire box from Roger. And it turns out Roger had some expensive foreign stuff underneath the wrapper.
It, within the Booster bar wrapper. But like, even before that, it does seem like he's a smooth salesman. He does he's
very good.
He's much more open, and he gets the other person to respond a lot better than Doug does, and he's pushy like you kind of have to be,
Mm-hmm. It was definitely on some boiler room stuff with Vin Diesel and Giovanni Ribisi. So
that's funny. Yeah, but you're right. The theme of that episode comes around to Doug making that he tries to do it, and then as I was saying earlier, in the act of committing the lie, he goes, "Oh, I can't do this." It's like, oh, yeah, okay, all right,
yes,
over instantly.
Yeah, and I never thought about that he actually went through with doing this stuff, and then he always caught himself halfway through saying this isn't right.
Yeah, there are just a lot of episodes that revolve around that premise where he either lies or some misunderstanding happens where he should have just been honest right away. But I think a lot of times they just wanted to do whatever they want with the episode, and then they threw in that. But then, I don't know. No, the end of that episode you describe is kind of funny, too, because he brings the chocolate to the person he tries to pull the con on is actually the maker of the chocolate.
Yeah, Mr. Swirly, who was way more prominent in the show than I remembered, because he was in at least 3 episodes I watched.
See, I only saw him that one bit, and I remember him in his house, but that was the only time he showed up for me.
Dude, his house with just the gold-plated ice cream cones and ice cream.
Yeah, it's over the top. I love it.
It looks like the Kremlin.
I actually, whenever I watch the South Park episode, when they try and build the ladder to heaven, they're talking to the guy they won candy from, and the guy's like, "That's all the ticking clock works great in the movies," and he has this candy house, and I always was reminded of Mr. Swirly's house. Another thing I was reminded of, well, for a long time, I remembered in the theme song, which maybe unpopular opinion, I kind of can't stand it, but the guitar riff when Roger shows up, for years I remembered that, and it got to the point in college where I would just play that riff for random people at the frat house and be like, "Do you know what that's from?" And finally some girl was like, "Oh, that's from the Doug theme song." And I was like, "What? Really?" And I pulled it up on YouTube, and I was like, "Holy shit." But I wrote a whole article on how much I dislike using the human voice, syllables, as an instrument. That's garbage.
So,
and it should be thrown in the trash. Yeah.
So what is their opinion of the opening music then? Does it fit that? Does it fit your overall opinion on that?
Well, I was going to say it gets a minor pass. I'm cool with mouth percussion sounds, and the show uses some mouth sound effects, which are pretty funny when executed properly. But it gets a bit of a pass because I don't think it was supposed to have words, but I would have them just rather had an instrument playing. And then when you hear and it's the same guy's voice doubled a bunch for the harmonies, I'm like, that sounds pretty lame. And the na just kill me.
You don't like it?
Oh, can't stand it. Can't stand it.
That's funny. I'm the exact opposite. I love it.
Well, I was happy that my brain quickly replaced it with a theme from Yoshi's Island, And that was, I'm much happier having that stuck in my head. So,
Okay.
yeah, like I said, might be an unpopular opinion, but I just can't stand that. Like,
it's good to have unpopular opinions.
Yeah, if you're not down with that, that's cool. We can have different opinions. It's fine.
The opening of this show just always reminds me of like Saturday and Sunday morning, only because the show wasn't really on in the weekday mornings when I was watching it, because I watched it well after it came on air, because I was only 2 when it came out in 91.
Yeah, me too.
So it's like. Yeah,
there's no point in trying to pinpoint when we first saw this show.
Yeah, because it was somewhere around
very
4,
early.
5, 6. But
yeah,
so it was never on the weekdays. So I just I always associate that song with just like complete relaxation, and it was kind of great.
That's what I was gonna say. It does fit its purpose, so I give it. It's not the most egregious example. But like I do find it grating, and I'm happy that there's the skip intro button.
I was happy for that button after about 5 episodes.
Yeah,
you're right.
Exactly. Yeah, it is catchy. Like, I'll give him that, but it's musical candy, and you eat it, and then all of a sudden you're sick and you never want it again. So. Yeah, that's my thought on the theme. It fits it just fine, and the animation is fun for sure. So,
yeah.
And I also noticed that, like, I don't know if cartoons still do this. Well, I know SpongeBob had them, but like, I feel like title cards don't happen as often, or maybe that's just cartoons, and that's why. But it was interesting.
The only other one I remember the title cards was with Rugrats.
Yeah, I'm just remembering a couple more now, so that theory might be off. But I just don't remember episode names as a kid. So how would I don't know. But it was surprising that every episode has that little opening card. Were there any episodes that stuck out to you or were a favorite? Because there's 1 or 2 I think I would like to discuss.
Yeah, my all-time favorite was the Halloween one, where they go to the Funky Town amusement park.
They go to Funky Town, yeah. And I was waiting for it, and when the bus opens, they have like a little Funky Town pastiche play, and I was like, all right, they're taking them down to Funky Town finally.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it's just a weird name for it seems like a forced joke for the adults or something. I don't know, but that a lot of the jokes really fell flat. Even when I was being open, I was just like, what? I laughed legitimately plenty of times, but like a lot of times I just kind of went like,
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the Halloween one was a lot of fun, and again hinges on like Doug's inability to even communicate with his best friend, who's like forcing apparently his best friend as well to do something he doesn't want to do or is apprehensive about. And then the shenanigans at the end get wild.
Yeah, like I don't understand the physics in play when
they're incomprehensible.
Doug and Skeeter turn into ghosts and like their heads turn giant. That was some next level stuff right there.
We would still have trouble doing anything resembling that today, I think, unless you had like hologram projectors or what are those called, where you map the projection onto a specific area. Those are sweet, but you couldn't have a convincing floating 3D head rendered in 30 seconds that streams in real time. No.
Yeah. And what was with the guy, like the main villain in the ride? Like, did he live there?
Yeah. Who is that? I was waiting for him to like pull him in to the coffin thing and be like, hey boys, this is our ride. Isn't it a lot of fun? We're closing up. Oh, that guy's giving you trouble. Instead, he's like Goblin Batman in his bat cave with all these screens. And then, instead of yes, Roger was still being a jerk and did some things to trick them, but they just like get revenge instead of like, I don't know. It was weird. It was good. Like, I like that they pick on Roger and freak him out, but like, there's no real lesson there either. I thought it was really funny. The commentary, like if you wrote that episode today, everyone would be like, what? None of this makes sense because he's getting picked on or sensitive about trick-or-treating in middle school. Like, little did those writers know that 40-year-olds would be dressing up now. And I know you and I are on the same page, but it's like, yeah, I stopped doing that in college. And all the other millennials out there dressing up, like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
for
I
real.
think the last time,
it's time to stop.
I think the last time I went legit trick or treating, I think I was 13 or 14.
There's always an excuse. Well, my parents kind of had a super unfair rule where the year my older brother was going to stop trick-or-treating was the same as me. And it's like, wait a minute, do I get to start driving the same age he does then too? Like, no, that's super unfair. So I made a big stink about it. And eventually, I got my candy one way or another. I think my dad just didn't want me to gain weight for wrestling, which is fair, but not like I was gonna. As a kid, you could do whatever back then. But it
not this chunky boy.
I also just realized when I was thinking about that, I was like, man, cosplay, they did a really good job at rebranding dress up for adults and spend a shitload of money probably in time to pretend. Like that's what it is. It's dress up.
Yeah.
Call it what it is. So, yeah. But no hate. Some of those people are really good and some of the ladies look very nice as well. So, keep doing your thing. But it is a bit of a sneaky rebranding in my opinion. But anyways, let's get back on topic.
What was one of your favorite episodes?
So the one that stuck out to me always was the one where he gets a video game console, and after rewatching, I know it's a Pretendo, and
Super Pretendo.
It might be. I don't recall exactly, but when I was thinking about it, I thought it was like a loose allegory for like, don't do drugs, kids. And like, I get that's a fine message, drugs are bad. They can lead you down a bad path. But after rewatching it, I was like, what the hell is going on here? So I had to look into it. And that episode's called Doug's Lost Weekend. And you watched that one as well, right?
I did.
Yeah. So you recall this strange, flashback sequence or fantasy sequence, I should say, where he's begging the clerk for another game. Just one more. You've had enough. Yeah. That's a shout out to a Billy Wilder film from 1945 called The Lost Weekend. And it's about an alcoholic. And that just casts such a darker light over it. And like he goes into a bar and he's like, one more drink. And he's like, you've had enough. And it's like,
what a deep dive.
For real. There's another reference there too, because I thought this as a kid, because it was the only game I knew. I was like, oh, is that Wing Commander? My brother likes that game. And I also found some people thinking it's a reference to that because you fight the Kilrathi, these like feline bipeds, if you will, and instead of the space chipmunks or whatever they're fighting. So two throwback references, but I don't even know who's getting that 1945 film one. But everything made more sense and less sense after that, like why they thought to include that. Also, their portrayal of video game addiction is just, they had no idea what was coming. Not only does he only lose one day of the weekend, because it turns out to be Sunday after he beats the game and it's just over. You can't like play it again, apparently. Like it's game over, man. That's it. Apparently they didn't know how video games worked, but he only loses half a weekend. Dude, I've lost half a year to a video game. I don't even want to know what my hours played on World of Warcraft back in the day was like.
And you didn't even get your own show about it.
Right? Yeah, come on. Oh, jeez. No, yeah, I've lost far more time than a single weekend to a game. That was not a fair warning from Doug. No, but yeah, what a weird episode that was.
Mm-hmm. The one right after that was the lucky hat, right?
Yeah, it was. One last note on that one, though. I do like how they portrayed, like, it's hard to hook up the console, and I remember we had to buy, like, the special connector that, like, you hook your coaxial up to,
the
and
RF,
then that goes through the... Yeah, that shit was difficult back in the day. It was weird.
Yeah, the good old RF adapter.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, don't miss those. And then, yeah, the lucky hat one was kind of interesting, too.
Yeah, I just remember... I mean, this is getting ahead in the episode, but I just remember Roger being the biggest asshole about it, and he just took his hat.
Roger's great. Yeah, he's so his only thing he's concerned with is his self-interest. Like, he will immediately throw anyone else under the bus after he's gotten his. It's great.
Yeah. Admittedly, Roger looked way better with the hat than Doug.
And I forgot, the first thing I noticed when I fired up the first episode and heard Doug speak was like, oh, this is Billy West.
Yep.
And then I was like, even before hearing Roger speak, I was like, oh, that's him too, obviously. And I was like, like, that dude. And for one thing, some of those really distinct voices, like Mr. Bone, who did a couple characters, and the guy who did Skeeter also did like Mr. Dink and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go on to do anything. And like Billy West has this insane career, you know?
Yep.
Which is really weird.
Yeah.
Even Patty her actress didn't do much else.
Yeah, I did try to look at...
That was weird.
The voice acting on there, and I came to the same conclusion.
That was weird. The main thing that stuck out to me from the hat episode that I remembered was that it was actually a positive thing about Doug, was that he gives it up willingly in the end when it blows away. Mm-hmm. And Roger, and I was like, I always remembered that was like big of him, but he's also a, superstitious pagan, putting so much value in this hat. And,
once he got Patty's validation, he was like, I don't need this stupid hat anymore.
Exactly. Yes. He's a simp for Patty, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's the biggest simp.
Dude, and that's how he signs up for the tights, the dancing episode, is because he's love struck after seeing Patty sign up to be the sugar beet fairy, of course. But
you'd think with all the stuff that he attempted to do to woo Patty, it would have been easier just to ask her out.
Dude, he doesn't even have to woo her. She is just so kind and understanding. Yeah. She's so sweet, and he just can't take the hint, I think. Like, it's over. He's already won and didn't even know it. And like, they should have had him learn that lesson sometime at the end of the series. Like, oh, I've always liked you, Doug. Something like that, I don't know. Or maybe that's too easy for him, but it's almost like she's too understanding. Even when he does something that should upset her, she's just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's really weird.
It's funny in all of his, I want to call it inner monologues that are shown on the screen. Patty is always super, super not understanding of him. So it's like, what's his perception of Patty? I don't know if that's just completely turned inward.
You might not get this one, but he needs to have like a Shinji Ikari revelation where he understands that there's a Doug Funny in the mind of Patty Mayonnaise too, and that's how she perceives him, just how he imagines, the way he's going to be perceived by her. But I think Doug needed that. He had 4 seasons. That's 3 more than Shinji had. So,
okay.
I don't think he's gonna make it. But yeah, he unfairly represents her. That's for sure. Like he's. That's what I'm saying. Like he could have like gotten better about that throughout the show, but he's just constantly unable to overcome these simple misunderstandings or even when he like does lie and it blows up in his face, like, oh, it turned out whoever else asked him to the dance said he was his first pick, and he catches her in that fib too. So, everyone lied, so it's okay. It's like, come on, like, be real.
Yeah.
Throw him in juvie. Show him what I had to deal with. It's not so bad. The other plot device that I liked, and this is kind of why I like Judy so much, is like a lot of times when she gets dug into trouble, it's not fueled by malice. It's just her in her own passion and spontaneous creativity that ruins it for her. Or like they had a ruse in one episode and it's just blown up because she can't stop like acting and something. I forget exactly what happens, but she blows it up and loses it. And it's like, she wasn't doing it out of spite. She's just crazy, and I love it.
Yeah.
I did notice they had the tendency to use words like kill and dead a lot more than you would expect from a children's cartoon.
Yeah, I remember that actually because my mom had hated Roger. Whenever we watched the show, she was like, he's incredibly mean or whatever. Like he says he's like, I'm gonna kill you or whatever.
Did you call her racist against green folk?
No, I did not.
Against goblins?
I just said, well, it's a cartoon.
You know, if Doug has a big nose, Roger's is even larger, I guess.
Yeah.
He's a scary man. He quite literally is a goblin, I think. I don't know. But yeah, it was weird that was allowed, because I remember later on, you know, it was, I will destroy you, or he's been removed from this dimension, and things like that were
yeah.
You know, euphemisms for obliterated, blasted to millions of bits, things like that, you know, dead. But yeah, that was weird. But I was a bit confused sometimes about like what age group they were targeting.
That's a good question. I mean, I definitely want to say it was, I mean, they're what, 10 or 11 in the actual show. So it was probably around those kids born in like 81, 82.
Yeah. Do you think it's supposed to, well, I guess it's supposed to be most relatable to kids that age, but I kind of think it appeals more to younger kids. But sometimes, like, what I'm getting at is, like, in one episode, they're making get well cards, and it looks like they're doing work fit for kindergartners, and they're in sixth grade. And then in another episode, they're all sensitive about their bodies before they get into a pool. And I'm like, that's like an 8th grader freshman in high school problem. Like, who are they? How old are these kids? Like, I know how old they are canonically, but like, in like the Halloween episode, stopping trick or treating. Who is embarrassed to trick or treat when they were 11?
Yeah,
like that's totally fair game. Like, it's weird. I don't know. I just noticed an inconsistent message between who they were targeting, and maybe they were trying to reach anyone, but it was just a weird thing I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, considering the creator was hawking Doug's animation all over the place before Nickelodeon landed it, maybe that was the case.
Wait, what do you mean? Tell me more about that.
So Doug was actually featured in an orange juice commercial before Nickelodeon picked it up.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking. Like, they had made the character design before the show was actually off the ground. Yeah. Well, I mean,
it was a children's book too, or he wrote a children's book before the show, and that's kind of what he used to pitch to Nickelodeon.
I see. Interesting. No, I didn't know that. I do think I heard about that backstory like years ago, but I'm just being reminded of that now. Yeah, it's overall, I had a really hard time pinning down how I would describe this show. The episodes are so different and weird, and there could be ones where it's all a fantasy, or all of it takes place in a school, and like the only consistency is it usually ends with like Dear Journal, and there's some fantasy sequences at some point.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why I liked it as a kid, was because of
how all over the place it was.
You know, that imagery used in his fantasies and everything, like it was ridiculous. Like during the liver and onions episode when he was just a knight or something.
Yeah. There's one where he was in American Gladiators and stuff.
Yeah.
All this wacky. You're right. That was some of the funny stuff. But in a lot of them, he's like just fearing some inevitable embarrassment he feels is coming. And it's just like hordes of faces laughing at him, which is like, surely that helps little kids with their insecurities, you know. But I don't know. And then one other episode I thought was really, really wild and just kind of like out of touch with what happens in the episode, like with what they show on screen and what the real life consequences would be. The one when he becomes Hamburger Boy.
Yeah.
Mr. Dink, in another one of his, you know, he forces Doug to be the hamburger boy while he goes out of town. It's been Mr. Dink's tradition, and Doug doesn't have the willpower to say no. But the episode doesn't really matter. All that matters is in the end, he's trying to attend a picnic with Patty and be the hamburger boy at the picnic, and some kids fall in the water, and all of a sudden we have like 3 drowning kids knocking over other kids' canoes, and luckily Doug comes along and saves their lives. Like
all in the hamburger suit, right?
Yeah, they all hang on to the hamburger suit, which doesn't really make sense. Like, why would it be so rigid and not like, I feel like that's a death sentence for Doug to jump into water in that suit.
He's gonna sink like a stone.
I mean, I feel like it's fabric on the outside, not some waterproof material. I don't know. But I just thought it was really strange how it went from picnic to drowning kids in a matter of moments. And at the end, Patty's like, you think Patty's gonna find out Doug's sworn secret that he was the hamburger boy. He can't reveal it. And Patty goes, oh, it's okay, Doug. You don't have to say it. You can't swim. And it's like, yeah, it would have been really good if everyone spoke up that didn't know how to swim, and you could have thrown a life vest on them before they got in a canoe. Like, what the hell? Really weird and funny unintentionally.
Speaking of double lives, what was up with the Quailman and Smash Adams?
Those are some weird fantasies. I actually don't think I enjoyed those as much as a kid. I think there might have been some jokes there that just went over my head. Yeah. Because I didn't know what they were referencing.
See, I was a big James Bond fan as a kid, so I knew Smash Adams was just James Bond pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up on that, and but like not any of the jokes surrounding it, you know?
Oh, okay.
But some of the Quailman stuff was weird. Some of it was fun. I did notice in one episode he's Race Canyon, which sounds like Race Bannon from Johnny Quest, but he's Indiana Jones. So I'm like, what's up with that? That's weird. I mean, I guess they kind of have a similar thing. Not really, but I don't know. Maybe that's why I like didn't get it, because they didn't work it in very well. It was a very strange show. I would say I fell down a bit of a rabbit hole where after watching a couple, I felt like I said, I knew less about the show and I had to watch more and more.
Yeah, that's almost a perfect way to put it, because it definitely didn't hit me the same way it did as a kid.
No.
And watching it nowadays is not, I can't really explain it that well. It's just not the same, you know? Mm-hmm. So there was something just when you're a kid, and I don't know if it's just like your imagination deteriorates when you get older. So maybe it falls out with Doug's imagination, but.
Well, I've always prided myself on still having a strong imagination, but there could be some truth to that. It's hard to know what's lost. I think a lot of the plots are just paper thin, and you can kind of know where they're going. I watched one where Doug was worried about the boy from Yakistania, which seems to be some Dutch or German type culture with like Chiquita banana hats too. It was very odd, and of course the misunderstanding from the beginning was obvious to me. Like it's not Patty, it's someone else it's a misunderstanding. Like there's no secrets. As an adult, it's a lot easier to see through all that. So
yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's it.
Shout out to the 12-minute episodes though. I forgot how wonderful those are, because when you're a kid, your attention span
those
is just not there. So
those go fast, and they're I'm surprised. Well, it's weird. Some of them feel like they go really quick, and then other ones I'm surprised it's only 12 minutes. I'm like, how did they fit that much story in only 12 minutes? It's pretty surprising. So yeah, I think the last thing I'll mention is I had seen what Disney's Doug looked like just from commercials back in the day. I had the unfortunate experience of seeing what Patty looked like in the redesign, and glad I never saw that. I think we're just choosing to not acknowledge that. And would you agree, Toby? Same page?
I remember actively making the decision to not watch it when they moved to Disney.
You stood up and boycotted it. I like that.
Pretty much.
I like that.
Yeah, because I think I did watch the first episode and I said, this isn't the same. Like even Doug, because Billy West left, so
that killed.
You could tell that the voice wasn't even the same.
No, I'm not down with that, and I wasn't down with the redesign and people. Yeah, the way they looked, the animation looked different. Not my cup of tea. I find indifference to be like the opposite of love, not hate. But I do admire your rage at the show that you said. No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like when my rage is admired.
Yes. Just makes me think of the Simpsons episode where I'm a rageaholic. I'm addicted to rageahol. So funny. So I don't know. Did you have any other thoughts?
No other thoughts. Just I'm with you, man. It's still a weird show, and I can't really grasp what drawn me to it as a kid, other than just, the whole fantasy aspect and just the wacky colors and just the wacky characters.
I think I was a lot more into the design as a kid, and, Skeeter with his honk honk and all that seemed a lot funnier to me. I think it was one of those shows that I wouldn't shut off, but I wasn't like waiting for it to be on. Because I'm pretty sure, if it came out in 91, and like you said, we didn't see it till later, they were showing reruns for years. I'm sure I saw every episode. That's how I would put it. I wouldn't shut it off. I wasn't like excited that Doug was on, but I was like, okay, Doug, we'll watch this. Yeah.
Okay. I was excited when Doug was on. I'm not going to lie.
I think I just grew away from it a little bit, but I'm not saying I didn't like it. That's just probably the fairest way I could put it. Like, I wouldn't change the channel, and as an ADD riddled young kid, that was a pretty common occurrence. So so I think that wraps up our talk about Doug. What's on the schedule next week?
I think we're diving into that 8-bit, 16-bit world of Mario.
Right on. Yeah, we're going to be exploring, I guess you would call it the first 4 console Mario games, So Super Mario Bros. And 2 and 3, and then Super Mario World. And then maybe we'll touch on the Game Boy games too. I have some memories with those.
Oh, I do too, actually.
Yeah, there you go. If you're excited to hear about that, come and check in with us next Tuesday. We'll be covering the Super Mario Bros. Series. Check us out on Twitter at Raised by the 90s. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts, and like and subscribe if you happen to be on YouTube. We'll catch you next time.
Smell you later.